Have you ever looked at someone who gets straight A's, aces every test, and still manages to have a social life, and thought to yourself, what are they doing that I'm not? Be honest. Deep down, you've probably felt it. That sinking feeling when you're drowning in textbooks, your notes are a mess, and no matter how long you study, nothing sticks. You try to concentrate, but your brain just zones out. You reread the same sentence 5 times. You start to believe that maybe you're just not smart enough, that maybe you don't have what it takes. But here's a truth no one tells you. It's not about intelligence, it's about strategy. And the most elite students in the world, yes, the ones at Harvard, aren't necessarily smarter than you. They've just cracked the code. They've discovered techniques, systems, and patterns of thinking that turn average brains into memory machines. And they use them religiously. That's what this video is about. Because what if I told you that you've been studying wrong your whole life? That the very methods your teachers taught you, highlighting, rereading, cramming, are some of the worst ways to learn. That your brain is not built for long, mindless study sessions. It's built for laser-focused, strategic input. And when you learn how to feed your brain the right way, it responds fast. Let me say something that might shock you. Your success isn't being held back by your IQ. It's being held back by outdated study habits. Habits that Harvard students have either never used or have already replaced with something infinitely more powerful. But here's the catch. Most people will never discover these techniques. Why? Because they're stuck in a broken system. They rely on motivation instead of mastery. They burn hours trying to feel productive instead of actually learning. They measure progress by how tired they feel, not by how much they can recall. That's not how top students operate. At Harvard, the competition is brutal. The workload is insane. But the students there don't just survive, they thrive. They use psychological tricks, cognitive hacks, and scientific techniques that most people never even hear about. And once you learn them, you'll never go back to your old way of studying again. You're about to enter a different world. A world where your brain works with you, not against you. A world where you study less, but remember more. A world where every hour you invest gives you results you can actually feel and see. But be warned, once you understand these 8 techniques, once you start applying them consistently, you will never look at studying the same way again. You'll start to notice your focus getting sharper, your memory becoming more photographic. You'll remember entire paragraphs without effort. You'll walk into exams calm, confident, and 10 steps ahead of everyone else. And the best part? It will feel effortless. So if you're ready to stop struggling, if you're tired of wasting time and feeling stuck, and if you're serious about unlocking the full potential of your brain, then pay very close attention. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 8 genius study techniques used by Harvard students. Techniques that will completely rewire the way you study, learn, and succeed. And once you learn them, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. Let's begin. 1. Identity imprinting. The student doesn't study. The student is the study. Most students try to force themselves to study. They push, they pull, they struggle. But Harvard elites? They do something radically different. They program their identity. They stop saying, I need to study. Instead, they brainwash themselves to believe, I am the kind of person who craves studying. How? They write down the sentence, I am obsessed with mastering knowledge 100 times every morning. Why? Because repetition rewires the subconscious. When the brain hears the same command repeatedly, it stops questioning. It obeys. This is not motivation. This is identity manipulation. It's not about what you want. It's about who you believe you are. 2. Thought starvation. Starve your brain. Until it begs to study, this one is dark. Very few know about it. Before they study, elite students go on a 4-hour mental fast. No phone, no books, no stimulation, just silence, boredom, mental emptiness. Why? Because when you starve the brain of input, it becomes desperate for stimulation. So when you finally open a textbook, your brain devours it like a feast. This technique flips the switch. Studying stops feeling like work. It becomes relief. You've been overstimulating your brain every second. Now try starving it and watch how hungry it becomes for learning. Third, ego sacrifice, humiliation as motivation. Top students secretly use controlled humiliation to trigger performance rage. They write down their biggest academic failure on a sticky note, a failed grade, a rejection, an embarrassing moment. Then they place that note above their study desk. Why? Because pain fuels dominance. They train their brain to associate studying with revenge, with redemption, with obliteration of their former self. This is not about positive vibes, it's about emotional war. When you feel nothing, you produce nothing. When you feel rage, you become unstoppable. Turn your humiliation into hunger. Fuel your studies with ego fire. The doppelganger strategy: become your rival's nightmare. Pick the smartest person you know, the one who makes you feel insecure, the one who's always ahead. Got them in mind? Now become them. This is called mirrored modeling. You copy their routines, their sleep pattern, their tone, their habits, even their handwriting. Why? Because the brain absorbs identity through mimicry. By becoming your enemy, you steal their power, their efficiency, their mental edge. It's not about competing with them. It's about stealing their DNA. Your goal? To be so good they think, wait, are they becoming me? Number, you're becoming better than them. 5. Sensory triggering. Anchor study mode in your nervous system. Elite students use dark neuroscience to build triggers into their nervous system. They choose a unique smell, like peppermint oil or a rare song, and they only use it while studying. After 10 to 20 sessions, the brain makes the association. This smell equals focus. This sound equals intensity. Eventually, just one sniff or sound snaps them into deep concentration instantly. This is called neuro-associative conditioning, and it works like hypnosis. You can build your own trigger. Just be consistent. Never use it outside study time. Build it, link it, activate it. Focus becomes automatic. 6. Controlled anxiety. Set deadlines that terrify you. This technique uses manufactured fear to force peak performance. Here's what they do. They tell 3 friends, if I don't finish this topic by 6 p.m., I'll send you each 1,000 rupees. Now, they're trapped. The cost of failure becomes real, tangible, embarrassing. Why does this work? Because the brain reacts 3 times more to fear of loss than to gain. This taps into fight-or-flight urgency. It creates real consequences, not just vague goals. This is pressure with a price tag, and pressure produces diamonds. 7. The mirror ritual. Visually force self-accountability. Every night, elite students stand in front of the mirror and ask out loud, "Did I study like a warrior today?" If the answer is no, they look themselves dead in the eye and repeat, "I wasted a day I'll never get back." This sounds small, but it's psychologically brutal. The brain begins to associate poor performance with shame and identity dissonance. Eventually, the pain of saying, "I failed today," becomes greater than the pain of studying. Self-confrontation equals self-discipline. You can't lie to the mirror, and that's exactly why it works. 8. Dopamine loop hijacking. Make studying addictive. This one's dangerous, and that's why it works. Harvard students build closed dopamine loops to make studying irresistible. Here's how. Every time they finish a study sprint, they immediately give themselves a small but intense dopamine hit. It could be a spoon of Nutella, a burst of a favorite song, 60 seconds of scrolling, a jump into a cold shower. But here's the trick. It only happens after studying. Never before, never during. This creates a hardwired loop in the brain. Study equals pleasure. And soon, the brain starts craving study, not for the content, but for the chemical reward. That's addiction. And now, it's working for you. Now be honest. Which one of these techniques hit you the hardest? Which one are you secretly dying to try tonight? Or maybe, you've got your own dark method nobody knows about. Drop it below. I dare you to reveal it. Let's see who's really built different.